Some secrets are not meant to be kept. They fester in the dark, they linger in the dust of old evidence boxes, and they cry out for the light. For decades, a ghost haunted the city of Manchester. The ghost of a vibrant young life stolen, and the ghost of a killer who walked free. But we live in an age of miracles, an age where science can reach back through time and give a voice to the dead. This is a story that proves the past is never truly past, and that time offers no sanctuary for the wicked. A single, microscopic cell, left at a crime scene over half a century ago, can unravel a lifetime of lies and expose a monster hiding in plain sight. Imagine a quiet, tree-lined street. Imagine a friendly, elderly man, a great-grandfather, who nods hello to his neighbors every morning. Now imagine that for 56 years, this man has carried a secret of unimaginable horror. What happens when the quiet life he built is shattered by a truth that has been waiting patiently for 5 decades to emerge? This is the chilling, true story of how a 56-year-old crime was finally solved, and how a 92-year-old man learned that no matter how long you run, you can never outrun your own DNA. The year was 1967. In Greater Manchester, England, the world moved to a different beat. It was a time of tight-knit communities, where neighbors knew each other's names and a sense of safety was woven into the fabric of daily life. In this world lived Susan Hamilton, a 22-year-old woman with a bright smile and an even brighter future. She was a beloved daughter and a cherished friend, a vibrant spark in her community. But on a humid night in August, that spark was extinguished in an act of unspeakable brutality. Susan was discovered in her small apartment, the victim of a monstrous crime that sent a tremor of fear through the entire city. She had been raped and murdered, the violence of the attack leaving a scar on the community's soul. The police launched one of the largest investigations in their history, but in an era before computers and digital databases, every lead was followed by hand, every interview painstakingly recorded on paper. Detectives collected the few precious pieces of physical evidence they could, limited by the forensic tools of the day. They had fingerprints, fibers, and biological samples from her attacker. Yet, 1960s science could only tell them a blood type, not a unique identity. The evidence was meticulously preserved, catalogued, and locked away, a box of silent secrets waiting for a technology that didn't yet exist. As leads dried up and the media storm subsided, the case of Susan Hamilton went cold. For her family, however, the world stopped turning. They were left in a nightmare of unanswered questions, tortured by the knowledge that Susan's killer was still out there, breathing the same air. Years bled into decades. The file on Susan Hamilton's murder gathered dust on a forgotten shelf. The world moved on. The apartment where she took her last breath was repainted, rented, and lived in by people who had no idea of the horror that had unfolded within its walls. The detectives who swore to find her killer grew old and retired, haunted by the one case they could never solve. To the public, Susan's name became a faint, tragic echo. But for Susan's family, the silence was a constant torment. Anniversaries were not markers of time, but fresh waves of grief. They were forced to live with the chilling reality that the man who had shattered their world could be anyone. A stranger on the bus, a co-worker, a neighbor. Meanwhile, somewhere in England, a man named William Hurst lived a life of stunning normalcy. He married, had children, worked, and retired. To the outside world, he was just another quiet old man, a friendly but unremarkable face in the community. He became a grandfather, then a great-grandfather, burying his monstrous secret under the sheer weight of an ordinary, well-lived life. The savage violence of that August night was hidden behind decades of routine and the simple passage of time. After 56 years, he must have believed he was safe. He was convinced his secret would die with him. The dawn of the 21st century brought with it a scientific revolution: DNA analysis. What was once relegated to fiction was now the most formidable weapon in law enforcement. Across the globe, cold case units were breathing new life into forgotten files. In 2020, a detective at the Greater Manchester Police, conducting a routine review, pulled a worn cardboard box from a storage rack. The label read, Hamilton, Susan, August 1967. Inside, the evidence was perfectly preserved, a time capsule of tragedy. For the first time in over half a century, the biological samples were sent to a modern forensics lab. The technology was now light years beyond what existed in 1967. From a single, microscopic sample, scientists extracted a full DNA profile of Susan's killer. It was his complete genetic blueprint, a ghost from the past, now made terrifyingly real. Investigators ran the profile through the National DNA Database, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The result? No match. It was a crushing blow. The killer, it seemed, had lived his life so cleanly that his DNA was never collected for another crime. But the detectives refused to surrender. They still had one last, revolutionary option: forensic genealogy. This was the same groundbreaking technique that had unmasked the Golden State Killer. By uploading the unknown profile to public genealogy databases, they could hunt for the killer's relatives, building a family tree that would lead them, step by painstaking step, to the ghost who had haunted their city for 56 years. The hunt was on. Forensic genealogists began the colossal task of building a family tree from a handful of distant cousins found in the database. They wove together a complex tapestry of birth certificates, marriage licenses, and census records. Slowly, through a meticulous process of elimination, the countless branches of the tree began to converge on a single family unit. And within that family, one man fit the profile perfectly. He was the right age, and in 1967, he had lived in the Greater Manchester area. His name was William Hurst. The revelation was staggering. Investigators looked him up and found not a monster, but a 91-year-old man living a quiet, anonymous life. Could this frail great-grandfather truly be capable of such savagery? They had to be certain. A surveillance team was dispatched to covertly watch him. They got their chance when Hurst discarded a piece of trash. The item was discreetly collected and rushed to the lab. The results were electrifying. It was a perfect match. The DNA from the trash was an identical match to the DNA left at Susan Hamilton's murder scene 56 years prior. The ghost finally had a face. The quiet old man, hiding in plain sight, was a killer. In 2022, police officers approached William Hurst's front door. When the 91-year-old answered, he had no inkling that his 56-year-old secret was about to come crashing down. He was arrested on suspicion of the rape and murder of Susan Hamilton. The deafening silence was finally broken. In 2023, William Hurst, now 92, stood trial. The scene was surreal. Frail and hard of hearing, he needed assistance to move around the courtroom. This elderly man, a relic of a bygone era, was accused of a crime of breathtaking violence committed when he was just 36 years old. Throughout the proceedings, he remained a blank slate, showing no emotion, no remorse, simply claiming he could not remember. But the prosecution's case was not built on memory. It was built on the irrefutable truth of DNA. They walked the jury through the science, showing how the genetic evidence was a silent witness that placed Hurst in Susan's apartment. Then came the final, chilling piece of the puzzle. Back in 1967, William Hurst had lived just a short walk from Susan Hamilton. He wasn't a random phantom in the night. He was a predator who had stalked and targeted a woman in his own community. The jury needed only a few hours. The verdict was unanimous: guilty. The judge sentenced William Hurst to life in prison, a sentence ensuring he would die behind bars. Acknowledging the man's age, the judge declared that neither time nor frailty could diminish the atrocity of his actions. Justice, he asserted, has no expiration date. The conviction of a 92-year-old sparked debate, with some questioning the purpose of imprisoning a man at the very end of his life. But for the last remaining relatives of Susan Hamilton, it meant everything. It was the closure they had prayed for but never expected to receive. It was the final, resounding proof that after all those years, Susan had never been forgotten. The story of Susan Hamilton and the unmasking of William Hurst is a stunning testament to the relentless pursuit of justice. It proves that truth, no matter how deeply buried, can claw its way into the light. Because of the marvels of science and the unwavering dedication of investigators who refuse to let the dead be forgotten, victims are more than just names in a cold case file. Their stories can finally be told, and their killers will face the consequences. A man hid his crime for a lifetime, but in the end, he could not hide from himself. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the world of true crime. Let us know what you think about this case in the comments below. Your support helps us keep bringing these important stories to light.